on the brilliance of Noor Riyadh 2024. بين الثرى والثريا, light years apart. Over the past 3 years, Noor Riyadh has illuminated our city and transformed it into a mesmerizing canvas of light and art. And this year, we're back with the 4th edition that has breathtaking installations in 3 locations, each unique with what it has to offer: our culture and roots in the historical center, the serene beauty of nature in Wadi Hanifa, and the futuristic allure of Jack's district. Tonight, we're privileged to delve deeper into the creative minds behind the extraordinary festival. Please join me to welcome our esteemed curators, Dr. Effat, Fadag, and Dr. Alfredo Cramerotti. So, Dr. Effat and Dr. Alfredo, let's begin with the title of this year's festival, Light Years Apart. What inspired this evocative title, and how does it encapsulate the journey between الثرى, the earth, and الثريا, the stars?
Shall I go?
You start.
I think the inspiration for the title of this series was precisely try to figure it out, a metaphor, if you want, an allegory for the journey of humankind. And because we are kind of a not static being, and as individuals, as a society, as a collective in general, and it was important to have this idea of movement in our concept from the very beginning. So we discussed, actually, I think it's really good, instead of an idea, just the movement, the trajectory towards something was really important. And of course, I mean, the connection between the terrestrial and the celestial was the perfect sort of the perfect framework to do it. So we start with the idea of movement, and then we articulated the idea of movement, connecting obviously with the light of the stars. But as you will see in the installation in the various hubs, there is a lot of more than the journey itself. There is the idea of the earth, is also the idea of who we are as human beings, biologically sometimes, or where we are actually as an idea of the earth. And one of the installation, actually, Refik, another installation, it talks about corals, which are actually not the surface of the earth, but what is beneath the surface of the earth, what was once actually the origin. And that's something that we really embraced as the idea of the start of the journey, or the one, or let's say, of the pole of the journey, to be very, very profound. And conversely, a number of other installations are talking about the universal, the cosmos, the ephemerality of up there that we cannot really reach. We can only aspire to, or we can look at, we can imagine, we cannot really grasp. However, the very, very powerful concept and idea for human beings to be part of our story somehow. So this journey, the 2 poles, let's say, and the space in between, the distance in between, that's what gave us basically the connection to bring the artworks together.
Perfect. Well said. I'm going to add another thing as well. So thank you very much for having us as a co-creator in this edition. And I'm very happy and honored to be part of it. One of the things that, as Alfredo mentioned, is the idea of this strong movement, development, change, and reaching out to the stars in terms of working with different medium, technology, and art, and how can we locate ourselves within that development of change and fast-paced, let's say. And looking into it from a different perspective, from our roots as a thara, and what is the definition of the thara, from poetical connotation, conceptual, all of that related to who we are and where do we belong to as humans, specifically, not dividing ourselves into different races or different personalities, let's say, and how do we unite ourselves in one thing, and which Noor Riyadh is uniting artists, uniting nations, uniting people together in one platform, and reaching to the stars. It's with another thing that we want to also reflect in this exhibition, in the concept itself. What is the power of reaching our goals, the power of reaching our own imaginations, and in between, as also Dr. Alfredo is mentioning, these realms of thoughts, these realms of understanding who we are and where do we belong to, and how can technology takes us to different realms within one space, and it's very important for us to look into that aspect as individuals, also as an artistic approach in dealing with our own conceptual thinking, let's say, and practice as well.
Wow. I truly love it. But how did the artists respond to this title, in your opinion? Did they respond maybe metaphorically or literal, or maybe a mix of both? Maybe I would like to hear from both of you.
They respond with a lot of questions, actually, at the very beginning. What do you want to do? Which is good. It's always a very good starting point when working with artists to have a lot of questions, because it helps us in curating an idea, a concept, a project, whatever, to refine it. Because you have to actually to think about something that you haven't thought actually before. And then this kind of a set of questions, they sort of concretize in a way. They kind of they have been sort of taken and absorbed and melted into an idea, then slowly has been taking shape. Just consider that out of the 60 media art installation, light art installation, or light poetry installation, as we've been told, 50% are actually commissions. So there is a lot of work from, not only from a conceptual point of view of what you want to do, but also how to do it, you know, the practicality of it, the delivery of it. And some of the artists, they actually, I would say none of the artists probably, they take it very, very literally. They always got this lens through which they built and they offer their work, but staying true to what they want to talk about, what is their medium or the preferred medium, what is their language, their vocabulary. So they never really actually, okay, yes, I'll do it because you asked me this one. It's always a kind of a space of negotiation with the artist. When you propose a theme for an exhibition, they always come back to you with a lot of questions and a lot of ideas that kind of pushes. They push the boundaries, they to the limit sometimes. Because obviously for them it's not just about responding to a brief, it's a brick in a life architecture. And as a brick it has to make sense, because you have to build your life architecture and it has to stand up actually. So some of them, they were very allegorical and metaphorical and subtle, but most of them, they come up with something very, very beautiful and very, very poetic, which we are really, really happy about that.
You're right. It needs to be true to the artist practice, and at the same time, each one looks at it from a different lens, as you said, and which brings diversity to this, I want to say exhibition, maybe. Dr. Effat.
Yes, I want to add also something in regarding to this approach of the artist in coming back to the brief and coming back to the curators with a question. And if the artist is coming with a question, that's a good step. Which shows that exactly this is the journey of any artist as a researcher, as a practicer, as experimental, looking into what is it and where is it and how will we go. So questioning is part of the research and it's part also of their experimental. Now, the different artist approaches, as Dr. Alfredo is mentioning, that it's not literal, but a kind of a metaphorical, contextual approach. So we can see that artists have pushed the boundaries into looking at what is the Thara al-Thuraya from an Arabic perspective, and also looking at the theme itself as the spaces in time and journey of belonging, identity, and using these different medium and as light per se, as a medium to express their thoughts and experiments. Artists have used different, not just only sound, but algorithm, sound, let's say, into the artwork itself to present what they want in that concept that they're reaching.
That was actually my next question.
Yes, okay.
Are there any underlying connection between art, science, philosophy that are explored in these installations?
Yes, definitely. This is what's beautiful of looking into the concept and reaching out to the artist, and the artist search in that concept itself and dig deep down to what is it, the space in between, let's say. Not just the space in between, but also one space, let's say, not one space like the Thara, the land, the sky itself, and look into that between realms that we mentioned as well. It's very important to see that these different approaches from different artists and looking into it differently as part of bringing new ideas, bringing new media, bringing new dialogue, bringing new voices that adds to what is are we approaching or bringing out in this edition.
I can add maybe then in terms of the common threads throughout the three hubs. There is the sound element, for instance, is quite maybe a bit surprising, but it's a very, very strong element in a festival of light art, because there are a number of artworks that they have been built around the sound, not around the light as a visual. So that this idea of having the sound waveforms as the skeleton, or as the structure of the piece, and then being sort of articulated and manifested also through visuals. That's kind of I wouldn't say a common thread, but it appears regularly throughout the three hubs.
This year it's more evident.
The sound is very, very evident, I would say. And the other one, as I mentioned before, that's a feedback we got. It's a very poetic approach for a lot of installation. It's maybe surprisingly, because when you think about a light art festival, you think about something about very technological and in your face and everything, but a very good number of the installation this year are very harmonic, are very subtle, are very meditative, immersive. They kind of put the viewer in a very particular state of being, which is very poetic. I think that would, I would say, that the two elements that come through it.
Wow, beautifully said. How do you envision the visitor's journey through Noor Riyadh 24? What kind of experiences did you aim to create in the different hubs? Or
Okay, shall I go? Yeah.
yes.
So we tried to go into a different theme, let's say, or a different journey that the visitors can touch upon these different hubs and relate to the hubs in their own historical background, let's say. So in historical Al-Murabba, where is the foundation of Saudi Arabia and the importance of individual in the society, in building the community, has been very important in the selection of the artworks there. So we can see it moving from one space to another in historical, while in Jax is more into the creativity, experimental approach that the environment of Jax is giving the artists, the people who are here to push the boundaries and look into art from a different perspective, and bring these new voices, so we can also experience it here as a visitors. While in Wadi Hanifa, landscape is a very prominent aspect of the Wadi, yet also there is the family gathering and the approach of this unity as individuals together, and looking into also in a different space in the Wadi, where is the relation between the nature, land, earth, and sky, and then moving to the end of the Wadi, if you experienced it yesterday, where is technology and the future, because also all the embassies is around the Wadi Hanifa. So Wadi Hanifa is not just a raw environmental, but it has all these elements within it. So when you move from one area to another, starting from Said Gamhawi to last where Dan and Chris Levine is, where is the going to the development in the future.
And if I may add also, in terms of the viewer experience, as a background note, let's say, and you know it very well, actually, you're a curator yourself, actually, when you put together projects as a curator, you always try to put yourself in the viewer's shoes. So what is the viewer journey that this piece actually allow? And sometimes it's difficult, especially in a Y-cube situation, in a gallery situation, you know, the parameters are quite stable. Outdoors, it's very variable. You know, you have the weather, the traffic, the people, the whatever actually. So it's much more actually difficult to pin down from the very beginning what will be the viewer experience. So we try really our best and with a lot of actually discussion to imagine this viewer experience in different situations. And I hope actually that the viewer will enjoy actually, if they haven't done so yet, because it's I think we got there. And
you guys did great. I mean, in the slideshow there was like some behind the scenes images of us trying to figure out where to put the artworks with the maps that you guys were sticking the artworks on, and site visits. I mean, that tells the story very well. So what are the criteria when you select artworks for such festival?
Ooh. What are the criteria? There are a number of criteria, especially because we're talking about a festival that happens 9 times, for instance, just to start with, and most of it happens outdoors. So you have all these variable elements, and the artwork needs to respond to this element to be able to be accessible from an audience point of view. That's probably the first criteria. You know, as a Noor, as an art life festival, it's meant to be for the population of Riyadh and for the visitors and for the tourists and for whoever actually wants to come and visit without any obstacle or preclusion or any sort of a barrier, let's say, it might be in place. And that's the first criteria, I would say. And other criteria, there are a number. It has to be very impactful because the spaces, the environment is big, outdoors is big, the spaces, the warehouses, even if it is indoors, are actually quite massive. So it needs to create an idea that you enter almost a situation. Sorry for the buzzy word, but it is like that. It's an environment where there is something special, and you are part of the something special. And other criteria, to me, is more actually related to the artist's journey. So it has to be original. It has to be saying something which is relevant for our time. It has to be made in a way that is not a granted way. It's not a given. It might be surprising, actually, the way. Even if the elements in itself are simple, and some of the installation that you will see, or you have seen it, the actual material, the raw material are very simple. Some of them are like pure, air and light and water and vibrations and waves. So it's super simple material, but very, very effectively put together. So that will be the principal criteria somehow. I don't know if you have any other criteria.
I think you said it all, but I could add something. And for us, it's very important to see that. Wow, يعني بنشهق. We want to say, okay, yes, let's do this, and we can also, if we said 50% of the artwork was commissioned, so we were trying also to push the artists as much as we can to give that wow factor for the visitors, for us as well, and make that dialogue that each work of art is powerful enough that it can create this dialogue between each other. So it's not just selecting the artwork per se, but also creating a dialogue between one work next to the other to create more powerful dialogue, let's say, and bring that voices to the public, and add also these voices to the public who will be interacting with the artwork. So I think one of the main things also that we thought about is the interactive aspect of it, to make sure that all level of the society appreciate it and be part of it, and have a say and a dialogue with it as well.
Yeah, and there is also well, I was thinking while you were talking, actually, that there is this element of the dialogues between the artwork is between the artwork within one hub, but also between hubs and hubs, which is really important. You have certain artwork in one hub that they can respond precisely to other artwork in other hubs. So it's an invitation to the audience to actually visit the 3 hubs and the 2 extra locations, actually, as well. And another element, I think, it's not relating really to the criteria, but I think is for us as curator probably is important, is the professional opportunity you offer to more emergent artists, because you combine them in a dialogue with more established artists, with big names, but there is an element there of I wouldn't say mentoring, but sort of a shining because by association somehow, which is actually quite important, because the more emergent artists can actually have this dialogue, and they can meet the more established artists, and they can exchange ideas, etc., and B, the established artists themselves actually can discover people and artists who they never knew before, and then they can actually see that there is something that it will be interesting in the future and offer. Artists are quite generous, actually, so there is some sort of this dialogue is coming through it as well.
Yeah, you'd get surprised how established artists get inspired by the younger ones as well. So Dr. Alfredo, you have your experience where the intersection of art and technology. How has that helped you in curating Noor Riyadh?
Well, a lot.
Basically what you do.
My background is first in design, really, and commercial design, retail design, and then into media, which I did this kind of a TV and radio and website in the 90s, which are really cool. They're vintage now. So that, and then I made a career in contemporary art somehow, and I work with other people a lot, and that's the reason I became a curator, is that I discovered back then that I was better at working with other people than working by myself. And the fact that I had this foot in media and design as well as in art really helped a lot, because you have not only the eye, let's say, for the artist's work, but also you have the design element of it, and you have the media element for it to understand the impact. So it was a good combination somehow that brought me here, and I think yes, that's the background. I think it really helped to have a different background than if I was studying art history, for instance.
I have to agree. Yeah, these layers add so much to the depth of whatever exhibition you're going to put on. Dr. Effat, you are a very important figure in Saudi art scene. So what do you think? How does the platform like Noor Riyadh contribute to the growth and development of creative communities across Saudi?
I think the generation in all ages are very lucky, to be honest, because one of the important platforms, initiatives in Saudi is Noor Riyadh. And it's only like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, and bringing all these international and creative, local creative artists in one hub, let's say, or one platform. Definitely it will create a very strong movement in the future. Maybe we can't see it right now, but maybe with these, imagine these young children in Wadi Hanifa who are bumping into these impressive art practices and artwork, and in their memories are set there. Imagine in 10 years time what they will do with this great opportunity. Noor Riyadh is an important, as I said, not just for the locals, but also for artists who are educating, for people from different disciplines to understand also that they can be part of this, because it's a multidisciplinary approach that all individuals from different backgrounds can be part of it, and we can see this also in the different projects that is for an artist. An artist is working, he has his idea, but imagine the people who is working to produce his art or bringing that into the real life, let's say, from engineers, from sounds, from light, from all of that, being together and working together as a community. So I think it's a great opportunity also to push the boundaries for the creative industry in Saudi Arabia, and also for the creative forms of medium in Saudi and in the practice itself.
Maybe this is going to be my last question. Noor Riyadh has established itself as a leading platform for public art and new commissions. How do you envision its role in shaping the future of the art world?
It's very important. There's no other way to put it, because it creates the opportunity not only for artists to realize their vision, but also for audiences to encounter art in a very unusual way, if you want. And it's unusual because it's kind of not only because it's free, it's in 3 hubs, it's outdoors, but it's unusual because of this combination of art, media, technology, and it is quite actually somehow important to understand that art is not something to be an experience into a dedicated space as an art gallery or as an art museum. It's something that it can happen in any sort of a circumstances given the right framework. And I think Noor Riyadh is actually building that framework very, very powerful in Riyadh and in Saudi in general. But you can see that actually there are people coming from abroad actually to come and see Riyadh, and the fact that is what I liked also about it is that is a massive scale, is a biennial scale, and a biennial is big. I mean, I've done a couple, and they're really big in terms of production and involvement and everything. And the whole thing is compressed and produced and exhibited for 3 weeks. So it's like you blink and you miss it, and there is something beautiful about that. And they create this sort of impetus for audiences to come and see it, and for artists to really, really work to deliver that. And so this idea, it creates this impulse for the creative sector at large to be almost on their toes, to say, hey, it's happening, we have to be ready. And Noor is not the only program, obviously. There are many others, but I think this one in particular is something that it has a certain dynamism embedded into that, implicit into that, which I really, really appreciate.
Yes, giving the opportunity of not just 3 hubs. We're missing the digital, and we're missing also the Faisaliya. Yes, public art is very important in having all this light show, light festival, light experience, as we said, and also, as also we said, that blurring the boundaries between art, science, and technology is part of this platform that Noor Riyadh is giving to not just the artists, as we said, as also the whole community to benefit from and be part of. I think it's a great initiative and a great opportunity for everyone. And I think 3 weeks is not enough, as I always say. And I encourage all the people to be part of it and see it, because videos, social media do not give any justice to what's the actual works and the that we wanted to be part of this. And every artwork, not just one specific work, but every artwork in every hub, in every space inside around the Riyadh. And congratulations, Riyadh, wallah.
Thank you.
I would like to open it for questions. If anyone has comments or questions, please go ahead.
I think we said it all, sir.
There's a question there.
Thank you for a very lovely talk. I had a question. You touched upon it a little bit about sound practice across Noor Riyadh and sort of this recurring theme, and I think you guys were right as well. There's sort of a lot of audio practices that you can kind of see in the artworks. Do you think there's something specific to maybe your collaborative practice with each other and maybe this interest in sound, or perhaps something about artists responding to the theme of the earth, the terrestrial and the extraterrestrial, as you said, and sound as a medium, this sort of accompanying the existing light? It would be interesting to hear you guys expand upon this kind of occurrence of sound art.
I think it's maybe it's about the artist approach towards a festival lights and try to unpack it even further. This is the 4th edition, and you can see actually the barriers rising. in terms of the commission and the artwork and the complexity of it as well sometimes, and complexity which can be translated into very, very subtle artwork as well. But I feel, I don't know if you agreed actually, that it's the artists themselves who responded incorporating this sound element more prominently, because it's the kind of digging deep, or deeper in a way. So I think it's probably comes from the artist more than from us.
Yeah, I think the artist, as we said in the beginning, there is a question. And with that question, there is an experimental research behind it. And with that experimental research, there is a way of finding the answers. And the way of finding the answers is through their medium. And the main medium is in Noor Riyadh is the light. But sometimes light also needs some other back or push, let's say, to bring that forward. And this is what we see here also in this edition, that the artist used the light in a different way. So it's not just using the light as a bulb of light, but using the reflection, using threads in different ways of reflecting light. So sound is also used as a metaphoric, صح? That word of translation, what's light into sound and sound into light. So this journey, it's all about the journey of how to find yourself through light, let's say.
And if you want to be very scientific, it's also a matter of waveforms. Both light and sound are You have actually an installation here, actually, by Matthias in Jax, which is taking voice, because it's a poem, translated to text, translated to sound, translated to vibration and water. And it's all waveform. It's like the materialization of waveforms, basically.
Also in historical.
And historical, too.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
There is over there on the back. Oh.
مساء الخير. وبداية نقول مرة جدا أنا جدا سعيد إنه أنا أكون السنة الثالثة في هذا المكان الجميل. وبداية أشكر RCRC على الجهد العظيم اللي بيسووه. وافتكر إنه إحنا قبل فترة عشان نعيش حالة فنية زي هذه ندفع من وقتنا الكثير، وندفع برضه من المال عشان نسافر. الآن RCRC جمع العالم في هذا المكان الجميل، وما جمع أي أحد، جمع المبدعين الرائعين اللي هم يستطيعوا أنهم هم يعبروا بأدوات غير اللغة. الشيء الجميل الصراحة اللي أثارني وأدهشني هذه السنة أنه الفنان اللي هو عايش خارج المنطقة هذه حاول أنه هو يلمس بعض قضايانا. فبعضهم بدأ يبغى يتكلم عن الماء، يتكلم عن فكرة الآبار، فكرة كذا. وهنا الترجمة اللي صارت، أو ممكن أسميها ترجمة، أنا الصراحة مبسوط إني أنا أسمع بإذن عربي وباسم إنجليزي، يعني هنا بلغتين، وهي حالة حلوة ترى إنك تسمع بلغتين. بس الموسيقى إلى حد كبير أنا في رأيي إن هي الموسيقى هي المادة اللي ما تترجم. عشان كذا أنا بعض الأعمال ألمس فيها يعني الفنان يطرح قضية، يمكن قضية تشبهني أنا من هذا المكان، ولكن الموسيقى ما كانت تشبهني في بعض الأحيان. فيها شيء من التوتر ما يشبه توتري أنا، وفيها شيء من الفرح ما يشبه فرحي أنا. فيمكن صار بعض الكونفيوز أو حاجة something كذا مش مفهوم بين الموسيقى وبين العمل. هذه وجهة نظر يعني. بس هذا مش سؤالي. أنا سؤالي يتكلم عن ماذا أضاف الفنان للسادة.
ماذا أضاف الفنان للسادة؟
لا لكم، لحضرتكم يعني. ماذا أضاف لكم؟
هذا أحلى شيء. Arabic? Okay, so what he said a lot, to be honest. Sir. Yes. So what did the artist add to us as a curators? did the artist in Noor Riyadh add to us as a creator?
As a curator,
yeah, I was like, this is very nice.
Yeah, you're learning every day.
Yes.
They just open your eyes and ears and minds constantly.
Yes.
I mean, there's no. Actually, we took time to meet all the artists, especially during the installations and when we were actually opening the exhibition in the three hubs, precisely actually to have this type of conversations, because sometimes you're very busy because you have to install it, you have to deliver, and then the schedule and this and that, and then you don't really have the time to talk. But we really, we take care, because we want to talk to the artist, because that's how we enrich ourselves. And I hope it's also for the audience, because if the audience also will be enriched from the artist's work, and for us it's important to have that first person conversation.
I mean, yes, one of the things also for me is as being part of an academical institution background, working with students is mind-blowing. To think of what they're thinking and how their approaches and all of this, and working with artists as well, and creating that dialogue, definitely it adds to us as much we give back. I think we're more lucky than them, let's say, because we're speaking to every one of them specifically with their own ideas and practice. So we're learning a lot through them, as much as we're trying to give them back as well, what we have in return, let's say.
Thank you for an amazing talk. I have a question for three of you, actually. Did you face any challenges or difficulties working on the project?
I love challenges, to be honest. Yeah, and everybody knows me, knows that I am into challenging myself for one thing, and having a challenge it's a good thing that puts you as in your toes and lets you think a lot, and trying to find solution for that, and gets you into creativity as well. So challenging is always good for me. Yep.
Yes, I concur with that. Yes, of course. Yeah, difficulties and challenges for sure, but on such a scale of a project, they are inevitable. It would be strange if you don't have any difficulties, challenge, because it would be just a flat thing, and this is not a flat thing. For me, we were actually, we went back and forth a lot with the rest of the team as well. Actually, to some point, actually, there is such a big energy and effort and commitment, and a number of people working on it, that you necessarily somehow you have to trust the process to at some point, and the process it will deliver. You cannot really in control of everything, and it's very silly to demand to be in control of everything, because it would be impossible to deliver with this time frame as well. So in a way, it's something that is like when you work as a collaboration, as a collaborative duo, trio, or as a collective in general. To get to the results, you have some time to take a step back, allow other people input in order to going forward. And that's the main thing, really, in this type of projects.
And I add also something, Yani, you see us here, both of us, or three of us, sitting on the stage, but there is like a huge army, let's say, of soldiers who are part of this and trying to make this happen. It's not just one or two, there are like 100 or so of people. So every one of them has a great mind and help and energy to push that forward and make this happen, and realizing it for us all.
Thank you.
Noor, yes.
Well, thank you for the talk, a little bit of the background details. I learned yesterday at Wadi Hanifa about the little bit of the dissonance between the Arabic name, the theme, and the English. So the Thuraya and Tayr and the light years. How do you guys curatorially reconcile these things that, although kind of like structuring the same line of thought, I would say one goes more towards the scientifical feels, the other one is much more poetic and almost meditative. So I imagine like artists understanding one language or the other, or both, might have come up with things in very different ways. How do you guys manage to weave all that?
Okay, I'm going to start just quickly, and then if I forget something, I'll cheat from you and then add again. So, yes, this is my first time co-creating with Alfredo, and it was an amazing experience because I'm very lucky to have Alfredo with me thinking together. So it's not dividing the thoughts, but working together in that thought and introducing the theme in Arabic and looking into it in a different direction and bringing it together as scientific technology and all of that aspect. And looking into it from the historical, philosophical, mathematical, scientific approach of the Arabic generation of philosophy, science, all of that has a great impact on the real understanding of what is the stars, what is what is time, what is Earth, what is all these conceptual concepts. Yes, also scientific approaches in dealing with these disciplines. And this is, I think, where we matched together. We brought a lot of philosophers, poets who wrote about the distant and the definition of Thara and Thuraya from old generation to new generation. And I think, yes, I think we didn't have any complex of understanding how to deal with it and how to move with it in terms of concept. It went very well looking into it and approaching that concept together and writing it.
There is also to say that at the beginning of human culture, there was no division between philosophical and scientific. It was all one field dedicated to the advancement of human knowledge, in a way. And that's where the artists picked up the thing, really. Each of them through their own lenses, as we were talking before, through their own sort of a special view, but somehow it was quite unified as a concept.
Yeah, categorization is not,
totally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I would like to thank you both for being with us. And thanks everyone for attending our talk. And there's another talk just after.
Yes, don't miss it. Thank you.